It's March 18th, 1945, Versen sector, west bank of the Rhine River. Fog hangs low across the Rhine floodplain and hides nearly everything. Arthur Shilstone kneels beside a collapsed Sherman hull, half buried in mud. He serves inside the Allied Ghost Army where illusion keeps men alive. He locks an air hose into place and checks the seal again. The compressor rattles and the rubber skin rises with shivers.
Pressure steady, keep the airflow constant, and hold position.
Arthur drags a brush through thick oil and paints a spill trail. He darkens mud where engine leaks and heat residue should collect. He steps back, squints carefully, and adjusts the barrel angle again. Sunlight slices through fog and sharpens every incorrect shadow edge. A reconnaissance aircraft circles lower, searching fields for seams or slack. Arthur rotates the turret until shadows align with the rising sun.
Shadow breaks the lie, move the barrel 2 degrees.
The silhouette holds steady as the aircraft circles. Behind the first tank line, more rubber hulls slowly rise. Teams move through fog carrying compressors and folded canvas armor. Within minutes, another row of Shermans inflates beside the first. From above, it will resemble a full armored battalion staging. From the ground, it still weighs less than a jeep. Air, rubber, and careful shadows spread across the field. A half-track idles nearby with heavy speakers bolted along its sides. A sound engineer starts recorded engines and layers bridge clatter beneath. Humidity bends pitch slightly, so he trims gain with measured care. Across the water, German listening posts lean into headphones attentively.
Drop gain 2 points and keep the engines heavier.
The fake army suddenly sounds heavy enough to be real. A radio operator taps steady rhythms, imitating an armored division. Call signs rotate correctly with practiced pauses between short bursts. Colonel Harry Reeder listens for any phrase that sounds uncertain. One transmission runs long and breaks the expected cadence pattern. Reeder raises one finger and the operator cuts immediately.
Short bursts only, keep cadence tight and never improvise.
Across the river, German signals intercept the frequency and log coordinates. Hans Brecht studies fresh photographs showing silhouettes near Versen. He compares them against radio logs and listening post summaries. The shapes match tanks, and the traffic matches a division buildup. He grips a field telephone and draws adjustment lines southward.
Shift batteries south now. Versen is the crossing point.
The gun line settles and river air grows tense. A rising whistle cuts through fog and ends quiet instantly. The first shell lands short and throws dirt across rubber hulls. A second impact lands closer and shakes mud beneath Arthur. He drops into a rut and keeps helmet pressed low. A direct hit buckles one inflatable Sherman and folds turret inward. Air hisses out like breath, then vanishes into fog.
No return fire, the illusion must keep drawing shells.
The damage looks convincing, even from aerial observation. Smoke creeps along ground and hides a widening turret seam. Arthur crawls forward and presses fingers along torn fabric. Another impact lands nearby and ripples rubber under concussion. He smears adhesive, binds wire tight, and wraps cloth firmly. The seam holds, but fabric strains like rope under weight. He checks the horizon north where real boats move unseen.
Hold shape until they cross, and we all live.
The silhouette rises uneven, yet still reads as armored steel. Arthur stands and studies the mud around the tank tracks. Real armor leaves heavy arcs where steel pivots under weight. He rolls a wooden press slowly through wet soil. The grooves mimic 30 tons of turning steel. Nearby soldiers scatter ration tins and cigarette butts. Perfect camps look suspicious from the sky. Messy camps convince analysts the soldiers are real. Wind surges across open ground and snaps camouflage netting loose. One inflatable Sherman tilts and begins drifting sideways in mud. Arthur grabs a tether line and leans backward hard. Another soldier drives a metal stake deep with hammer blows. Sandbags stack quickly along the base until movement stops.
Double anchor right now, before the wind exposes seams.
The wind pushes again, but the line holds firm. The wind drops suddenly and the field stands unnaturally still. Arthur notices one Sherman sagging slightly along its lower edge. Across the river, a German observation balloon rises slowly. It climbs higher and gains a clear angle over silhouettes. Inside the basket, an observer studies distortion along one hull. He pauses, then writes confirmation instead of doubt. A direct impact slams beside the sound half-track violently. One speaker flips into mud, and the engine track cuts dead. Silence spreads instantly, and that silence risks immediate exposure. The sound engineer crawls through debris and reconnects cable quickly. He slaps the housing, and the speakers shudder back to life.
Audio returns now. Keep the loop running without gaps.
Tank engines surge again while impacts keep walking nearer. Shells keep landing, and the pattern steps across formation steadily. A soldier near speakers drops and does not rise. Arthur recognizes Boots before seeing the face clearly. He crawls through smoke, grips harness, and drags him backward. The illusion holds, but manpower shrinks with every minute. Shell bursts rip open more inflatable tanks across the field. Rubber skins tear and collapse into crumpled shapes. Arthur counts silhouettes still standing through the drifting smoke. Enough remain to look like armored strength from the air. Enough remain to keep German artillery locked here. Somewhere north, engineers assemble bridges in darkness. Hans Brecht reads spotter notes confirming silhouettes remain upright. He hears radio traffic and believes forces concentrate there. He presses grease pencil into map and adds reserve arcs. He lifts field telephone and commits additional batteries south.
Commit reserves south and keep spotting on those silhouettes.
Artillery rotates, locking power into the wrong sector. Night settles over torn rubber and fresh craters across the floodplain. The barrage slows, but random impacts still arrive without warning. Arthur crouches behind a collapsed hull and watches the riverline. His hands shake and he presses them into mud to steady. A flare rises across the river and turns field white briefly. Darkness swallows everything again, and Arthur keeps breathing quietly. Far north, the salt boats slide quietly into black water. Paddles dip low, and each stroke remains silent. No artillery pivots toward them, and no flares rise. The first boat scrapes gravel, and soldiers step ashore. Keep it quiet, no shouting, no splashes, no metal clanks. They spread outward while southern guns thunder uselessly. Hans Brecht listens to confirmations and keeps bearings fixed. He believes the main crossing forms at Versen. He signals a final coordinated strike along the tree line. The last salvo arcs south, spending shells into fog.
Maintain bearing south. The main force stays in that fog.
No barrel turns north, and the error deepens. Shelling tapers and leaves ringing silence across cratered ground. Most rubber silhouettes still stand, scarred but upright. Arthur rises slowly and scans the riverbank for a pivot. No guns pivot north and no fire shifts. German infantry shapes appear along tree line and move closer cautiously. A runner stumbles across churned ground and drops beside Arthur. He grips a sleeve and forces words through breath. North of Versen, the bridgehead holds firmly and armor crosses. Arthur watches bayonets glint as infantry closes distance.
Bridgehead holds north, armor rolls across, start pulling out.
Arthur nods once and begins shifting along the shattered line. Arthur slashes tether cords and rips valves open. Inflatable hulls sag into mud and lose shape quickly. He yanks wiring from the sound truck and spills fuel. Flames climb into broken speaker frame within seconds. German boots step beyond hedgerow and advance cautiously.
Leave it burning, fall back, and do not look back.
The final standing tank softens and collapses into mud. German soldiers step into the outer edge of the strange camp. One kicks a rubber tread and pauses in confusion. Another stares at a sagging gun barrel and looks back. Their officer studies the silent formation around him. Nothing moves, nothing fires. The realization begins too late. A real Sherman crests the northern riverbank at full speed. Its hull is steel and its engine roars alive. German gun crews strain to swing barrels northward through deep mud. The tank commander spots frantic movement near the tree line. He settles the sight picture and squeezes without hesitation. He fires first and the world snaps to impact.